GameCube Disc Cleaning Part 3. I keep getting comments from people that say, well, I did what the video said, and it still doesn't work. We're going to address that. So Part 3 of the mystery titles, you probably already know because it's in the title block, but Part 3 is going to be, I did Part 1 and 2, my disc still does not work. What do I do? So, first things first, we have Star Wars Rebel Strike Rogue Squadron number 3 for the old GameCube. This thing looks pretty good. We've cleaned it. Now, we didn't like mirror finish it or anything, but we did clean it enough to where it should be working. But I'm going to cut away to the TV. We're going to try to load this disc, and it's not going to play at all. Like, it's not going to give a disc read error. It's flat out not even going to read, okay? We'll jump over there. We'll jump back. Look at these jump cuts. I'm like a real YouTuber. We'll jump back, and then I'll show you what to do if you've done this method before with the Novus 2 and it still isn't working, okay? So we'll jump to the TV real quick. Let's go. Since I got the TV, I figured I might as well use it to show you that she don't work, okay? Rebel Strike. Power on. Going to the TV. Boom. Doesn't read. It's been cleaned, but it doesn't read. Yeah, see? Notice, not even a disk error, just a flat out no disk, right? So let's go back to the work table. All right, as you can see, it doesn't work on that TV. I don't have a ton of space in this workspace, so I gotta work with what I got and move some things around. So let's get into it. Okay, let's look at the disc and see what it's doing. Now on the surface, the disc looks really good. I mean, there's not really anything jumping out at me that I would say looks bad. There's a couple of scratches. There's a scratch right there, and there's a scratch right there, and a little bit right there, but nothing like earth-shattering, nothing that should be absolutely ruining it. It could be a lot of different things. So we used Novus 2 on it. We ran it through Novus 2, we cleaned it, and this was just one that I was just cleaning normally, and I cleaned it 2 times. I think I probably did 2, and one of them was fairly heavy. 2 times with the Novus 2. And still, it just won't play. It won't even read. There's not a disc read error. The center ring looks fine. I don't know. It's not an exact science with Novus Step 2, okay? It's not like you do this 3 times and then the disc will come back to life perfect. It doesn't always work like that because what you're doing, like I've said before, is shaving down a layer of the polycarbonate to get past where those scratches are. So you're removing the scratched layer and the whole layer in and of itself, and you're taking that whole thing off, okay? It doesn't always work with the fine scratch remover. Novus is technically a 3-step process. So you have step 1, which is the spray, which would probably have made sense if I had this here. You have step 2, which is the fine scratch remover, and you have step 3, which is the heavy scratch remover, okay? This just means that this has a heavier aggregate in it. This is a little thicker. And you can see, prepares acrylic surfaces for number 2 polishing. This is the number 2. Sometimes you have to use the number 3 to prepare the surface. What's interesting is it says contains abrasives not for use on eyeglasses, polycarbonate, or coated plastics, okay? And somebody actually asked me about this. This one doesn't say anything about polycarbonates. Okay, what we're dealing with is a polycarbonate. So I know that sometimes I say, don't use alcohol because it says don't use alcohol in the back of a cart. And then I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna use polycarbonate on here to prepare the surface. If Novus 2 isn't working, you have 2 options. You can do it again. Okay, this is something that I'll do it 5, 6, 7 times. I won't necessarily do it 1 time, pop it in, see that it doesn't work, and say, you failed me. Sometimes you have to go back and work it a couple more times. Why the warning on Novus 3 about not using it on polycarbonate? Because it does contain abrasives. It is a whole bunch thicker. See that? It is a whole bunch thicker with more abrasives and more of an aggregate material. Oh, and you can see right here. So this is more of your polish, and this is more of your, I don't want to say a heavy aggregate, but this is going to strip off more things. This is going to be your nice polish. And then number one basically gives everything a nice finish, cleans it up, makes it look all good and everything. Technically, you should only use this on acrylics that you're trying to clean up. Obviously, you don't want to use it on eyeglasses. And obviously, you don't want to use it on coated plastics. Coated plastics, it's going to strip off the coating. But for here, if we have a scratch that isn't going to work anyway, the disc isn't going to work, the whole thing's not going to work anyway, we might as well bump it up a step, go to step 3, use a little bit of step 3, and see how far we get, okay? I don't know which of these scratches is preventing the disc from working. It could be none of them, it could be all of them, there could be something else that's going on. It's weird that it's not even recognizing that a disc is in there. It should say a disc read error. It's weird that it doesn't do that. I don't know. We're going to clean it with Novus 3. Then we have to polish with Novus 2. That's just how this works. You clean it up, and then we're going to give it a little bit more polish. We're not going to go for a mirror finish. This isn't going to be a mirror finish video. This is going to be I tried Novus 2 and it still isn't working, okay? Since so many people have pointed out in the comments that I keep using paper towels, I will stop using paper towels and I will start using proper cloths. It's a bad habit that I have had for quite a while, just from long ago. But for you guys, we'll use the cloth. Now, contains abrasives, not for use on eyeglasses, polycarbonate. Okay? Yes, we're putting it on a polycarbonate surface, but we are not going to press. We're not going to put a ton of pressure onto it. There are probably people out here right now that are freaking out, saying that I'm going to ruin the disc. Well, the disc already doesn't work. So here we go. Same process as before, okay? Same exact process as before. Tear some strips down. I don't need all of this. Same process as before. Light buffing, circular motion, light pressure. I'm talking, you're pressing confirm purchase on an app, and you're worried that if you press it twice or press it too hard, it's going to do it twice. So you only do it once. Now on step 3, I use very little pressure, and I just try to get as much of the surface as I can away from the center ring. It's hard with these GameCube discs because you can see it kind of inches towards the center ring. If you're worried about it, you can tape out the center ring to make sure you don't get anything in there. If you take your time and you go slow, don't even worry about it. You take your time and you go slow, you're not going to get it into the center ring. You might get it on the reflective surface. Not a big deal though, okay? Not a big deal. I'm going to let it dry for a second. And even on the bottle itself, it says, with firm back and forth strokes at a right angle to the visible scratches. Continue polishing until only fine scratches remain. Cool. But it's hard because the scratches are never straight, so your right angles are going to be kind of weird. Again, this is where, people that say, well, I tried this and it didn't work, what do I do? Mix it up. Try different things. Try different angles. Try different approaches. This is not an exact science. Just the same as a professional resurfacing machine is not an exact science. This is not an exact science. So it's not, you have to kind of mess with it a little bit, see how the scratches are, what the scratches do, and if it gives you an idea of how much you're taking off and the directions that you're going. Just reminds me of all the toothpaste cleanings. Most of the scratches are going to be like long and thin, but even still, once you get everything covered, it's kind of hard to tell. Oh no, I got a little bit close to the edge. Probably should have taped. That's fine. It's fine. And I'm not going to wipe it on my shirt. I probably will. I'm going to resist the urge to wipe it on my shirt, because that's what I do. Okay. See, even when I picked it up, I'm like, time to wipe it on my shirt. It's not what we do. That's looking terrible. Look at all those scratches we added. Oh my gosh. It's awful. Just kidding. So now, coming with our old homeboy, Novus 2. I normally keep these stored upside down, but I had a bottle leak on me the other day. Just a little bit, enough to be annoying. See, but now I've done it. Now that I've done little jump cuts, I feel like that's going to turn into the new thing where it's going to be me jump cutting when I'm just, oh boy. It's going to be me jump cutting when I'm just messing around with stuff, which is entirely possible. Okay. One more again. We're going to go back. Take our Novus Step 2. Now what's going to happen is, as we're polishing, we're going to have to keep an eye on what the disc looks like. I'm probably going to have to do a couple of rounds. I don't know yet. So get it all smeared out. Let it dry for a second. I know the instructions say to do a circular motion until dry, but I've found that if you let it dry and then you go back in and like let it dry like a little tiny bit, and then you go back in, that it ends up being a lot more smooth. So here's the problem, is that I'll do a mirror finish video at some point. You know, like how do I get my disc to be a mirror finish? And I'll do that video at some point. But it's gonna be a really boring video because it's gonna be me sitting quietly for quite a long time. Yeah, I'm gonna stuff the center ring just because I'm getting a little loose on my scrubbing. Just don't want it to go too far in the center ring. These are all my copies, so it's not a huge deal, but you always want to try and prevent. That's looking so much better. So much better. Another round of this. So the big question, how many times do I do it? You know, how many times do I use Novus 2? How many times do I use Step 3? How many times You know, just over and over again. How many times do I do this, that, and the other? I can't give you that number. And the real reason that I'm doing an 8-part series is because it's not guaranteed. It's not like, you know, it's not like, well, I did it twice and now it works. So if you do it the Doug method and you do it twice, it works every time. It's not like that. I wish it was. That'd be awesome. What it takes is you have to look at the disc, understand where the scratches are, get an idea of where the scratches are. And if you run into the problem when you're cleaning the disc of, yeah, it's great, you know, I'm cleaning the disc and everything, but I kind of lose sight of where the marks are and everything, you can put a piece of painter's tape on the other side on the label and then be able to reference it and say, oh, the scratch is, you know, the scratch is right here. So you know you need to work in that area. Really, it just depends. It depends on what's going to help you be able to look at the disc and see if there is progress being made. Okay? The other big thing is pressure, how much pressure you're applying. I can't tell you how much pressure is too much or how much pressure is too little. You know, I can just give my attempt at explaining what I think would be too much pressure or not enough pressure by using examples. You know, but it's going to be different for a lot of people. So if you're unsure, start off soft, you know, start off with really light pressure and then do this a bunch of times and get an idea of what it's going to do. Realistically, so let me show you what it looks like when I'm just sitting around watching TV and cleaning discs. It looks like this. It seriously does. Let me just zoom out. It just looks like this. You know, and then I check, and then I keep going. And it's not a lot of, I know how much pressure this is. And I'm not saying like, I'm special because I know what pressure this is. I'm saying that you'll learn that same pressure for you of what's too much and what's too hard and what's too soft, that kind of thing. So, she cleaned up pretty good. There's still micro scratches. There's still some micro scratches, but not a bunch. Oh, see, and then I wiped it on my stupid shirt. Bad habits. But this looks good. This actually does look good. I think we can do one more though. Feeling pretty good about that. Let's get one more in. Oops, that's my finger. Let's get one more in. See how we're looking. Because I just want this little guy to shine. I think the other problem that I run into with these videos is that I've been doing this for a while. And for me, it's kind of like, yeah, you put the polish on and then you polish and then you're good. So if you ask how many times it takes or how many times I should do it or something, you know, I might say it's going to take a bunch of times. And when I say it's going to take a bunch of times, I mean, it might take 20 times. If it takes a lot of times and if you feel like all you're doing is polishing, look at increasing either the amount of Novus that you're using and increase that, or increase the pressure. Maybe you're not using enough pressure. You should be able to feel the edge of the disc through the paper or through the cloth as you're cleaning. You should be able to feel that disc. So if you can't feel the edge of that disc and feel that center ridge and everything, you might want to add a little bit more pressure to it. The other thing is constant movement. I'm kind of bad about that too sometimes, where, you know, you need that constant movement. The other thing might be the cloth. You got to switch around the cloth a bunch. I get why some people think that this is not worth it and it's tedious, and that's fine. And if you're one of those people that is watching this video and you're like, this is a giant waste of time, that's fine. That's totally fine. I imagine you have already made it up in your mind that you want to take your disc to a disc resurfacer, and that's fine too. You know, people pay for that because they want the convenience of it. I get it. I understand. I get it. Okay. So, boop. Looking a whole lot better. Get some light in here. Looking a whole lot better. Where's my light? There's my light. Yeah. So there's not as many scratches. They aren't as prominent as before. It looks good. Visually, it also looks pretty good. If you angle it directly to the light, you'll see a couple of scratches here and there. But this is looking good. Just checking everything over, making sure. Yeah, the front of the disc looks good. Back of the disc looks good. I still have some swirling. I still have a little bit of swirling. It's not the end of the world, but there's a little bit. But I don't see any of those big, beefy scratches that we were seeing before. There's a little faint outlining right there. So, let's try this out. Where's that case? Let's try this out on the console. See if it works. I get the feeling it will. I don't know. I guess we'll see. My guess is there must have been some kind of a film. Maybe I left a little bit of a film on there. I don't know. Let's get the camera set up. Let's get the TV set up and everything, and then we'll see where we are. Got it. Wouldn't it be awkward if this still didn't work? So, our Rebel Strike that we cleaned, you can see that it's been freshly cleaned because there's all the little lint and everything on there. Going into the GameCube, popping that down, powering that up. Should probably turn on the TV. And then we'll see. Oh, that went right to it. Hang on. It must have been a film. I don't know. Could have been a lot of things. Let's see. Bump. Yep. All right, one more time. That's really not good for the console, but I just want to make sure. So we'll take our little guy out, turn the console on, bump, loads to the menu. It's funny, the same no disc error that I was getting before with the disc actually in there, which is interesting. This is the one main GameCube that I use to test everything. So if it wasn't working correctly, that'd be interesting. But, you know, I tell people all the time, I'm like, oh, test it on 2 consoles. And then a lot of times I have the bad habit of not doing that. So hear the beeping, the test run. She's happy. So, there you go. The long and short of it really is, if you've tried cleaning it with Novus 2 and it doesn't work, and I hate to say this, but if you tried cleaning it with Novus 2 before and it doesn't work, try it again. You know, try it a couple of times. You're not gonna do too much damage to it, so just keep trying. Heck, this is what I should do. I should just play games while I explain things so that if people just want to watch the games being played. My controller not work? Anyway. If you have to do it a couple of times, you have to do it a couple of times. If you have to do it 10 times, you have to do it 10 times. If you have to do it 20 times, do it 20 times. The big thing is just keep an eye on what it is that you're doing. I don't have any saves. Keep an eye on what you're doing and just look at a scratch. Look at a single scratch that's on there and then, heck yeah. Look at a single scratch that's on the disc and then focus on that scratch. Clean it a couple times. Look back on that scratch to make sure that what you're doing is, you know, making some kind of an impact. You might have to increase the pressure. You might have to change around, you know, how much compound you're using. The compound might be too dry. So, also I did have someone tell me that I need to play a full game to make sure that everything is working, but who wants to watch me play this? There you go. Spin, spin, spin. So again, if it doesn't work, and really this is the ultimate summary of what we're talking about. If it doesn't work, try it again. That's really the big part of it. Let's jump back to the regular desk and then we'll get out of here. These lights are terrible. I keep moving them every time I have to move the TV. So, like I said, if you're using the Novus 2 and you're not realizing, if you're not seeing an improvement, if the disc is not coming back to life or anything, change up what you're doing. Add a little bit more pressure. You might be too light on things. You can jump to Novus 3 if you need to. I'm not entirely convinced I needed it. I have a very scratched disc that's coming up that we'll use this extensively on. But do it a couple of times. Do it as many times as you need to. Keep an eye on a scratch. Pick out one scratch and say, if I clean this 3 times, what does the scratch look like? Each time that you do it, the scratch should become smaller. So if the scratch starts off, so here's your disc, and the scratch is like that. As you're cleaning it, the scratch might become a little bit shorter. It might also just become a little bit thinner. It just depends. So keep an eye on what that scratch is doing. It might just be a little less visible each time that you do it. And so as you go along, always do that. As you go along, just make sure that you're keeping an eye on the scratches. Pick a couple out and see what you need to change. Don't focus on a single scratch. Don't sit there and say, I'm going to polish on this single scratch and I'm going to get this single scratch really cleaned up or anything. Give it a good overall kind of cleaning to make sure it's nice and clean. But don't get too fixated on one thing like I'm doing right now. So take your time. Like I said, there's some games that I'll clean and I'll have to clean them 10, 15 times, and it still doesn't work with Novus. And when I say 10 or 15, I mean, that's like my 10 or 15 with my amounts of pressure that I'm putting on that I feel comfortable with, and that might be different for everyone else. So if you use it once and it doesn't work, do it a couple more times. That's why you got a great big bottle. That's why they come in big old 5-gallon jugs and everything, because you're going to end up using a lot of this. I'll do a tool review where we review all of Novus, and I have a video for heavy scratch discs that don't want to work at all. But again, it just takes a couple times. We used once with a step 3, and we did 3 times with the step 2, and that cleaned it up. If the game glitched out or something, that'd be a different story. But so like I said, if you're cleaning your GameCube discs and they do not work even after cleaning, do not give up. Just do it a couple more times. That number can really vary on the user. As always, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to find me on the internet. I'm on Discord. I'm on Reddit, even though Reddit doesn't like me. I'm on Discord, Instagram, Twitter, any of those places. Send me a message. I've gotten tons of messages from people. I really like helping people out with their cleaning issues. There's a lot that I have never seen before. There's a lot of questions that people have had that I've never really gotten asked before. So that's always fun to do too. I really like this GameCube series. I really like the GameCube. I got a ton of GameCube games, and I have a ton that are all scratched. So I'm going to keep doing this. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 left to go. Oh man, we got some good ones. We have some real good GameCube games that are coming up. Like I said, any questions or anything, drop those in the comments below. I try to respond to every single comment when I can. I also have a list. If you can't get Novus, I have a list that I'm slowly working on that's of every scratch remover and acrylic and plastic polish that I've personally tested and used that I like. There's international ones. If you are in Finland, Norway, Denmark, or Sweden, I have those lists updated for all the plastic polishes that you can get there. If you're in Germany, Austria, or Belgium, I have a list of all the plastic polishes you can get there. Basically, if you're in a country and you can't get Novus, let me know what kind of a car parts store you're near, and then we can help you find some different things. For Australia and Japan, it's definitely auto parts store all day long. For Brazil, it's a little tough. Brazil and South America, a lot of different places down there, it can be a little tough, but you just need a couple of different car part stores. And I can always help you guys if you have a plastic polish or car scratch remover or whatever. Let me know what kind you have. We can go through the ingredients together and I can show you how it compares to Novus and if it'd be something good that you would want. Until next time, this has been part 3. Oh, I gotta do my, hang on, I'll do this for the thumbnail too. I won't write it on the front though, because that'd be rude. People get mad about this. Part 3. Ta-da. Part 3 of the GameCube Disc Cleaning Series. I only do that to rile up the people on Reddit. Probably shouldn't do those kinds of things. I will have a video showing you how to clean those things up as well. Until next time, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you want more of this nonsense. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep cleaning. Thanks, guys. See ya.